Okay, we've got to talk about Molly McGee.
That's me.
Well, that's she.
The Ghost and Molly McGee.
Because this show is 100% not at all what I thought it was. And that's completely my own fault. I just wasn't paying attention. But I really want to talk about it anyway. Back in 2019, the Disney Channel announced that it had greenlit a new animated series called The Curse of Molly McGee. Disney released a series name and a poster with a happy-looking young girl and a grumpy ghost friend, and not a lot else. Over the course of the last year, though, you might have seen hints of it here and there. Former DuckTales storyboard artist Sam King mentioned on Twitter that she moved over to Molly McGee as a director, and at some point, the show's name changed from The Curse of Molly McGee to The Ghost and Molly McGee. But beyond that, the show's announcement just kind of slipped my mind. And it's surprising too, because looking back, the show's premise is kind of obvious. An energetic, plucky young girl winds up being friends with a sour, grumpy ghost. And that ghost is not too happy about the paranormal friendship.
Thanks for being a sounding board. Bye.
She bothers me.
But despite how obvious that was, I got it all wrong. For the last year, I remembered the words curse, ghost, and Molly, but the McGee completely slipped my mind, and I wound up mixing all of that with a famous Irish folk song from the 1800s. I thought Disney was making a show based on Molly Malone, the cockles and mussels song about a young fishmonger who dies of a fever but continues selling cockles and mussels on the streets of Dublin as a ghost. I thought the show was called The Ghost of Molly Malone. To be honest, I actually thought that sounded really interesting. This Dublin folklore ghost character come to life with a grumpy mentor. I guess I thought that she was going to be haunting someone in the modern era and that, you know, the grumpy ghost would be helping her out in some way. I wasn't really sure. It made sense to me. Molly Malone. I would definitely watch that. That's not what this is at all. Now, it's the latter half of 2020, and New York Comic Con just revealed a bunch of stuff about the real show, The Ghost and Molly McGee, including an interview panel with some of the creators and some of the voice cast, animatics of the title sequence and a few songs, and even a preview scene with first take animation. The full details of the show aren't out yet, but the basic plot has been laid out. Molly McGee is indeed a bright, young, optimistic girl who just moved to a new town, only to find that the rickety old house her family moves into is haunted by a sour, grumpy ghost named Scratch. And that's where we get to why this show was originally called The Curse of Molly McGee. Because according to the showrunners, in an effort to get Molly out of his house, Scratch puts a curse on her. A curse that will leave him haunting her wherever she goes. He'll always be there, always by her side, until she leaves. Unfortunately for Scratch, to Molly, that just kinda sounds like a best friend. And she's way into that, which basically turns Scratch's curse around, making him the one that's cursed to hang out with a human, rather than a human plagued by a ghost.
That's what the show's about, the curse of friendship.
From the first take preview that was shared at Comic-Con, we also know that Molly just moved to this new town, and she's a little nervous about making new friends.
Do you realize that even one eensy-weensy embarrassing mistake could turn me into a social outcast forever?
I think that's a nice hook that feeds into why she's so eager to be cursed with a ghost. Molly seems like a kid who has moved around a lot and has to get used to changing schools, losing friends, and, of course, kind of being alone. You're never alone, however, if you're haunted by a ghost. That enthusiasm of having a ghost best friend cursed to you comes off really cleanly in the opening moments of the theme song, too.
Can't believe you're all mine. You and me for all time. I'm never, ever, ever gonna be alone again.
Oh boy.
What really put me over the edge for this show and got me interested was that every single episode is going to have a musical sequence in it. Kind of like, you know, how Phineas and Ferb, as the show went on, every single episode had a song. Except for these songs, all these musical bits are going to be written by Rob Cantor. If you're not familiar with Rob, he's a talented singer-songwriter with a knack for going viral. He's well known around the internet for his Shia LaBeouf live video, and he's part of the band Tally Hall. He's also done a bunch of work for Disney, though mostly on music for younger audiences. That said, that's a really big risk, having a song in every episode. Musical sequences can be divisive. They can be magical. They can be the thing that transforms your show from having, just a regular plot to giving it something that pluses it and really ups it. A catchy song that gets you singing along, has you thinking about the show later. It can be the absolute highlight of a show to have a song in every episode. But if done wrong, it can also feel really awkward, halting the action and just feeling out of place. So it's a big risk for this to be in there. However, that said, between Cantor's talent and how exciting these animantics are, I think they might be able to pull this off. The songs we've seen are already extremely catchy and have some great jokes in them. There's a song about Molly dragging Scratch out for a best friend day, probably early in the series, exploring his reluctance to be her friend. One sequence seems to be about her singing a song about Abraham Lincoln with the ghost of Abraham Lincoln, showing us that maybe Scratch can help Molly meet historical figures.
Abraham Lincoln was the man. Abraham Lincoln was the man.
There's a big epic Disney movie style princess song, a fun catchy dance song, and even a song that seems to be about raising money that, and this is my favorite joke in all the preview songs so far, stops for Molly to chase down a car on her bike to try and convince the driver to sell their SUV for an efficient electric car. I just love how the driver is panicking and trying to get away from this crazy kid who is chasing her down earnestly on a bicycle. There's just so much life and character in these boards. It makes me excited to see how this show turns out. It also looks like the Ghost and Molly McGee is going to have some more diverse angles too, with possibly an entire episode focused on Molly trying to make sure her friend's bat mitzvah goes well, and there's a whole song about it. That could serve as a great avenue for teaching young viewers about Jewish traditions that they might not know about, and offer representation for Jewish viewers. I was already a little bit interested in this show because I was excited to see where Sam King from DuckTales was going next. And after seeing her do a little bit more directing in season 3 of DuckTales, I'm looking forward to seeing what she does in that role on this new show. But with everything shown off at New York Comic Con, I'm definitely going to be paying a little bit more attention to this show as it gets closer to launch. I can't say for sure yet if it's my kind of show exactly, but it's clear that there's a lot of great talent at work here, with a ton of fun ideas, and I'm excited to see what they've been working on. If you want to see the full clips and interview for yourself, you can find them at New York Comic Con's YouTube channel, and on the Disney Channel's YouTube page. Before you go though, why not drop into the comments below and let me know what you think about the Ghost of Molly McGee and my completely wrong idea for what the show was going to be, the Ghost of Molly Malone. It's totally not going to be that, but I would watch it. If someone's making that show, call me. Great idea. Free idea. Take it. Let's do it. Ghost of Molly Malone. That's it for this, though, and my preview of the Ghost of Molly McGee. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and do all those things that YouTube really likes. But as always, thanks for watching, and take it easy, Internet.